in Port of Spain. England took their overnight score of 274 for 5 to 355 all out, with David Gower scoring 77. In reply, Trinidad and Tobago are 142 for 2 at the close, with Ian Botham taking the wickets. And that's the sport tonight.
Well, the weather's getting decidedly colder again. It'll be frosty at first tomorrow morning, and indeed some roads could be icy tomorrow, so drive carefully. A northerly wind will help keep temperatures down to around 4 degrees centigrade. That's 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Most places will be dry and sunny. The news headlines again. Mr. Joseph Pinkowski, the Polish Prime Minister, has resigned. He's the third Polish Prime Minister to go this year. He has been replaced by the current Defence Minister, Mr. Wojciech Jaruzelski, who's 57, a general and a moderate. And Bill Haley is dead at 55. Well, if we just look at some of the headlines in tomorrow's papers, we'll see that that story in Poland, of course, came too late for these early editions. But the story about Mrs. Williams resigning from the National Executive, of course, came in very good time. And every paper leads with that story. Williams quits executive, says the Daily Telegraph. Mrs. Williams quits power base on Labour executive, says the Financial Times. But reminds us, in fact, that, of course, there's something else happening in the world. Fall in wholesale price inflation may be ending. So some potentially bad and disturbing economic news there for the government. The Daily Mail seems to think it's more important that Mrs. Williams' love affair is over with the Labour Party. She quits Labour's national executive, they say. And also they're talking about Mr. Stonehouse, a name from the past, who weds Sheila. Well, those are the papers tomorrow morning, and that's all from this edition of Newsnight. We'll be back tomorrow night at the same time. From David Icke and myself, a very good night to you.
And now the day's news as seen by French-speaking viewers in Europe in Tele-Journal.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Tonight's news extracts recorded here in London via the Eurovision link come from RTBF, la radio-télévision belge de la communauté culturelle française. Bonsoir.
Tonight's Tele-Journal has a second showing tomorrow morning on BBC One at 9:05. Well, now, before we close for tonight, let's just look ahead to some of our programmes tomorrow. At 6:45, a news summary, followed 5 minutes later by the Tuesday Western, continuing our season of Hollywood classics with Henry Fonda and Anthony Perkins in The Tin Star. At 8:20, Russell Harty will be live at the Phoenix Theatre in London to preview an ambitious revival of the variety show in the West End. The seventh frame of Pot Black 81 is at 9 o'clock, with Ray Reardon playing Steve Davis for the BBC Two Snooker Championship. Then at 9:25, Part 11 of Robert Key's television history of Ireland, covering the period from 1924 to 1951. At 10:15, the last programme in our series featuring the songs of Jake Thackeray, who is joined by the Newcastle-born singer-songwriter Pete Scott. Finally, at 10:45, Newsnight. And all of that tomorrow evening on BBC Two. And there we leave it for tonight, not forgetting to remind you of the time. It's almost half a minute to midnight. And also that, although we're closing, Radio 2 remains open for business throughout the night, with a suitable mixture of music and chat. But now, from all of us on BBC Two, including me, Andy Cartledge, a very good night. Good night.